Hi, I'm Nancy. Welcome to Silent Dragon Yoga. Today we're going to do the yoga of letting go. It takes off from the ethic in yoga of non-possessiveness, Aparigraha. We'll also be opening our deep front line, the connective tissue, so that we can relieve ourselves of some of that inwardness that we develop with computers and telephones. First, we'll do some breathing, warm-ups, and then we'll get into postures, ending with a rest. Please take a seat now with your hips higher than your knees. And come inward into your breathing, letting anything that has brought you here, any rushing or thinking, let it go for just this hour. Let your gaze become soft. Bring your attention to your breath. Aparigraha, non-possessiveness, is about packing lightly for the journey. What do we possess after all? Bring our hands down to the sides, and we'll open with one big sun breath, reaching out through fingers, inhaling, welcoming the sun, the air, touching fingers above, and exhaling slowly out. Starting to open up the body and let go. Now coming into a 3-stage Dirga breath, bringing the breath into the abdomen, the lower ribs, and then the upper chest. Emptying out chest, lower ribs, and abdomen. Softening the gaze as you breathe deep and long. We have many possessions, but do we truly possess even this breath? In a sense, this breath is breathing us. The world is breathing us. So this yogic virtue is about not clinging, not grasping onto our possessions, and not clinging on to obsessive thoughts or obsessive habits that keep us in any kind of rut. Just breathe now in a way that lets the breath possess you. Two more long Dirga breaths, filling the torso, letting the air come into the head and arms. And then letting the air come down into the legs and hips. Now we'll change our breathing pattern in just a moment to try a breath where we breathe up the back of our spine and then breathe out down the front. So breathing up through the back active side of our body and breathing down through the more passive, quiet front side of the body. Bringing yin and yang together. Breathing up the back and down the front. What we have is the flow of the breath. What we have is the process of life. And today we're invited to simply flow with that. Enjoy the flow, the letting go. The letting go right into this present moment. And one last breath up the spine and the back. And down the front. And we'll end our breathing with one more sun breath, reaching out through the fingertips, slowly inhaling, welcoming in whatever this yoga has to bring us. And exhaling, letting go of anything that you need to let go of. And then removing any props that are underneath you. Let's come to a sitting position. Legs can be straight out in front or crisscross. Turn the nose towards the opposite shoulder. So coming towards the shoulder and bringing the hand onto the cheek. Cheek presses into hand and hand presses into cheek. 3, 2, 1. Then let go of the pressure from the head and slowly and gently turn the chin towards the shoulder, feeling the stretch on the front side of the neck. Release and let go. Bring the other hand to the other cheek. Gently turn the head, then pressing the head back into the hand and the hand into the head. 3, 2, 1. Then gently drawing the chin around towards the shoulder. This is a progressive muscle relaxation, which helps the muscles to relax. Let's do that one more time. Coming over to the first side, pressing cheek into hand, hand into cheek. 3, 2, 1, and coming round. Letting go into this stretch. On the other side, cheek into hand, hand into cheek for 3, 2, and 1. Relaxing around, chin towards shoulder. Letting go down into the abdomen as well. Allowing the body to come to some relaxation. Let's do a side bend. One hand sliding along the mat and the arm reaching up and over. Just starting to open the lateral side of the body. One more time in each direction. The spine starts to wake up. I'm feeling a few cracks in the spine. And coming up once again. Let's bring feet wide on the mat. Hands are back behind to support you. And let knees fall over to one side and then to the other side in windshield wiper legs. An important part of the front line is the inner thighs and coming up through a muscle that comes from the top of the thigh bone up to the bottom of the spine in the lumbar region of the spine. And then it comes up through the sternum, the breastbone, and up through the back of the throat. So coming once again now with feet together, and start with a kind of diamond shape here. And we'll think once again about this front line that we're going to be opening today. It starts in the arches of the foot. It comes up behind the shin bones. And then it comes up the inside of the thighs, and from the top of the thigh bone up to the lower spine, kind of inside you. And then the connective tissue comes up through the torso to the sternum and up to the back of the throat, to where you have that wishbone that we see in a turkey up at the back of our throat. Let's stretch the inner thigh muscles, the adductor muscles. So pressing feet together, bringing them a little back, but keeping a diamond shape, and letting the elbows encourage the knees to relax out, consciously relaxing through the adductor, the inner thighs, keeping the back straight. You might feel a little tug through the lower back as well. Find a comfortable place here. And then if you'd like to come forward a little bit, keeping the back straight and encouraging those knees to come out. If you want to bring your hands around your toes and then bring the feet a little closer into the groin, grounding down through the thighs, up through the crown, and relaxing through the thighs. And breathing. Let's try once again, breathing up the back and down the front. And one more breath. Now we'll do a squat. You can always have a pillow or a block underneath your buttocks if you would like here. Bringing the elbows so that they encourage the knees to part. Feeling that stretch perhaps through the groin. And you can always be farther up here. You can be in any situation that just allows a little bit more openness through the inner thighs, which are an important part of opening up our whole front line. One more breath. And then we'll come to a lying position. We'll start by toning abs. So cradling the head with the hands, knees are bent above the hips, elbows wide. Pull in through pelvic floor and push down with the muscles under the navel. One leg extends out and one knee comes up to the chest. Lower back is fairly snug against the mat, although there's always a bit of a curve there in the lower back. Adjust the feet for your lower back, going back and forth. Toning that lower abdominal area that's so important to almost all the activities we do in life. And certainly allowing us to let go in yoga so that the strength that is naturally there can help us to let go in other places. And then coming to a halt and resting the head back. Bring the arms out horizontal from the shoulders on both sides. Knees are bent above the hips. Let both knees go over to the right and hover above the earth. Then bring them up into the middle, and then bent knees go over towards the left, hover, and come back up. 2 more times on each side. Over and up and over, up. One more time, toning abdominals and the muscles on the sides in the ribs as we twist over and back. Now bring your right knee towards your chest. The left leg is going to bend up towards the chest and then reach out long. So left knee bends up towards chest, reaches out long, 2 more times. This is to exercise the psoas muscle. And now we'll switch legs. I'm pulling the left knee in towards the chest, and the right leg stretches out and comes in. And we'll do that 3 more times. Out and in. So the psoas muscle that goes from the top of the thigh bone up to the lower inner spine needs exercise. It also needs relaxation, because that tends to be a place where we keep tension, and it's a hard one to stretch. So the next thing we're going to do helps us to stretch the psoas muscle deep inside the abdomen that goes from hip to lower spine. So let's bring the left knee bent, and the left ankle is on top of the thigh of the right leg. This would be a figure 4. We're going to keep the sole of the right leg on the ground. Push with the left hand, gently pushing the left inner thigh. Try to relax into this stretch. So my left hand is pushing my left inner thigh, and I'm opening through the abdomen, relaxing through hips, up through the torso, and the back of the neck. Bring your breathing up the back and down the front. Letting yourself go into this relaxation of the psoas muscle. Release that position and bring the right ankle up on the left thigh just above the knee. Bring the right hand to the inner right thigh, pressing gently towards the bottom of the mat, pressing that knee open. Relaxing the psoas muscle on this side, consciously bringing your letting go to the hip, the abdomen, up through torso, and the back of the neck. One more breath here. The psoas muscle is very important as part of the opening up of the front of the body, because if we're keeping this tension here in this muscle that's deep inside us, we can't really open up the rest of the front of our bodies. Now we're going to come to a standing position. Come to a mountain pose with feet directly under the hips. Make feet parallel, ground down through the feet. Feel the bottoms of the feet against whatever is under your feet. Feel the balls under the toes. Feel the weight of the body coming down through the heels. Trace with your mind from the arches, up behind the shin bones, through inner thighs, up through that psoas muscle deep within the abdomen, connecting legs to spine, through torso, breastbone, and up through the back of the throat. Imagine a line coming from the sternum up to the back of the throat, up through the crown, reaching up. One more breath here. Then inhaling, arms up. Exhale, bring hands to shins. Elongate through the spine. And take a breath. Then let knees be soft and let go through the spine, each vertebrae slightly separating from the one below it. Taking away any compression of the spine that you carry with you, relaxing through the neck. Knees can be slightly soft here, but some extension from the heels up through the hips so that the top of the body can let go. Now knees bend a bit as arms come out and we come up and around. Bring hands so that they are on top of your knees, above your knees, on the thighs, but on top of your knees. Now, bend the knees, bend the hips, and we're going to let stomach sink and sternum rise with an inhale. Exhale, arch the back. Inhale, stomach sinks, sternum rises. Exhale, arch back. As we do this, we're really using our core. Feel your abdominal muscles working for you, and the inner thighs working a little more than when we are on the mat in tabletop. And then coming up, bring your hands back behind so that your hands are on the sacrum and fingers are pointing down. Inhale up through sternum, gaze rises. Feel the opening in the front of the body. The knees bend and arms cross. Exhaling. One more time. Inhaling up through sternum, feeling that opening in the front of the body. And exhaling, fountaining up. Bring legs wide. Arms reach out on either side. Let one hand come down to the opposite ankle or to the shin, wherever it lands, and open up towards that side. You can feel a stretch perhaps through the back of the leg, perhaps through the inner thigh on the other leg, and then coming up and over onto the other side. The spine spirals, letting go into the shape that you are asking it to take, and coming up. One more time, over to the first side, opening, breathing. Breathing always softens whatever you are doing, and up, and allows you to let go. Opening to the other side. And then coming up. Let's bring feet wide and hands onto knees. And going back and forth, bringing our attention particularly to the inner thighs, an important part of this deep front line that we're both strengthening and stretching out. You can feel the stretch in the inner thighs here. Now for a moment, stay on one side. Bring the weight back into the heel a bit, allowing that adductor, the inner thigh, to stretch out. And as we do our postures and our movements, we can let go of clinging to any idea of perfection. How you are doing it right now is fine. And coming over to the other side, stretching the other inner thigh. In yoga, we want to enjoy the pose. And that means doing it at the very level that is right for the body you inhabit. So always finding that place. And let's just enjoy the flow, letting go into the flow back and forth a few more times. and coming up. Now we're going to do a balance, a kind of moving balance. So if you can, the idea of letting go into the balance. Hands on hips. Let's put our weight in the right foot, energy up through the right side of the body. Good focal point in front of you. Raise the left leg up and down a few times. Feel free to use a wall or a chair for a little bit of support here. Just give yourself the challenge that you need, not too much, not too little. Then bringing the knee up, let's open it 3 times. Opening the knee. The next time, we're going to open the knee out and then bring it across. Find your place in this balance. If that doesn't work for you, do what you can. Balance is a work in progress. And each day is a little bit different. One more time over and bring it down. Let's shake it out a little bit. Balances always require strength and a little bit of tension. So letting go and then coming back into the flow of this balance, bringing the weight down through the left leg, up through the left side of the body, good focal point, and then raising up the right leg. Kind of what we did on the mat, bringing it up towards the chest. 2 more times, up and down, and up and down. Then bringing the bent leg up, open out to the side, and come back. 2 more times. No grasping of perfection here, just going with the flow. Then, as we did before, opening it up 1 more time and bringing it across. Perhaps taking this challenge, perhaps not. I also have to let go of perfection here. This is challenging. And bringing it down. Bring the legs a little wider apart, and let's just twist back and forth, an easy shirt sleeves kind of twist, just pivoting at the hip. So you're really just turning at the hip and letting the arms swing naturally, letting go, possessing nothing, clinging to nothing. No need to be thinking or even feeling right now. Just enjoying the flow of the motion. One more time on each side. And come to a pause. We're going to do a downward dog now. Bringing the hands slightly in front of the shoulders, tucking the toes, raising hips, and coming up into downward dog. Pedal the knees a bit. Let knees be soft. Press into the hands. Press back through arms and sides, elongating through the spine with knees soft. And only then, slowly bringing the arches down towards the mat as the back of the legs open as much as they will. Then let's come forward into plank. You can have knees down if you'd like. Shoulders, hips, heels in a nice straight line for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Elbows come close, then knees come down and come into a cobra. Hands are under shoulders. Press down through hips, thighs, and the fronts of the feet. Opening up in the torso, the chest. Come down, press into hands, tuck toes, Come up into downward dog once more. Again, start with knees soft. Stretch back with hips towards the wall behind you. Then bringing energy up from the ankles, up through the hips. Arches come down towards the mat. Energy coming from the wrists, up the inside of the arms towards the shoulders. Now bringing the left foot midway under the hips. Raise the right leg up, just as far as it goes, not worrying about perfection. And then bringing it through under the belly so that it comes towards the right knee, comes towards the right wrist. And if you need to come down onto knees to get there, that's fine. We're going to do a pigeon, which can be hard on the knees. So if you have knee issues, you can always do it in a child's pose. If you're doing pigeon, right knee coming towards right wrist, left leg walks back a bit. Then keeping hands at first a little farther in front of the knees, just bring the torso down somewhat parallel to the mat. Stretch out from the toes of that back leg all the way up through the spine, the neck, up into the back of the throat and the crown of the head. And then bring the hands back around the knees. You might be up on fingertips. If you have blocks, you could use blocks or books here. Pressing down through the leg that's stretched out in the back. Inviting the opening through the front of the hip, up through the front of the body. Just a natural curve in the spine. And if you want to come up more, bring the hands back a little bit more. The next step, if anyone would like to, is to bend this knee and stretch a little bit farther. But again, we are not clinging to any particular model here. Find what's right for you in this pose. Then let's rest down, bringing forehead onto the backs of hands. Breathe up the back and down the front a few times. Letting go of whatever it is you need to let go of. Then coming up, pressure into the hands as hips rise, come back up into downward dog. Right foot is centered under the hips now. Left leg lifts up. And then bring it under the belly. Knee coming towards wrist. Using your way to come into pigeon, or if you need to come into child's pose, that's fine too. First, bringing the hands so they're a little forward of the knees. Letting the torso come down fairly parallel with the mat. Stretching from the toes of the back leg all the way up through the body, sternum to the back of the throat, crown. And then coming up with hands beside the knees. Press down through the back leg so that you can open up through the front of the hip, up through the chest. Let shoulder blades rest down on the ribs in the back. And breathe. Opening up, letting go into the world. And then coming down with head coming down on the back of hands. One more breath here. Practicing this art of letting go. Now we're going to come up onto our knees and we'll do a camel. We'll start with half a camel. So bringing your hands so that they are on the sacrum, fingers pointing down. The left hand stays there, the right arm rises up, and with that support of the hand, open up through the front of the body, the psoas, up through the torso, gaze going up towards the ceiling, chin might remain tucked to protect the back of the neck. One more breath here, and come down. Right hand comes to support the sacrum, left hand rises up, hips stay straight above the knees, the opening coming through the front of the body. Opening up the connective tissue through the front line and coming back. Now both hands come to the back, elbows come towards each other. Squeeze the shoulder blades together using those muscles between the shoulder blades and the spine. And then with the support of the hands behind the sacrum, opening up through both sides, through the sternum, tucking chin a bit to support the back of the neck. And gaze can just go to that seam between the ceiling and the walls. That's plenty. And then strong through the abdomen, coming back up. Let's bring hips down onto buttocks. Hands come forward. We're in an extended child's pose with arms out in front of us, stretching back through the arms and lower back. A counter pose to all of the opening we've done in that deep front line. Bring arms over to the side and take a stretch. And then over to the other side and stretch. And come back to middle. Now let's stand and we'll do a warrior one. Just a little bit more opening of that front line. My right foot is forward with my toes forward, and my back foot is on parallel railroad tracks with the foot out at 60 degrees. I'm turning my hips towards the front of the mat. Knee is bent above the ankle. Open hands with arms slightly back behind the hips. Feel the opening that brings through the chest, shoulder blades, squeezing together towards the spine and the back. The letting go happening here up through the leg, through the psoas, up through the torso and the chest. Now, arms come forward and up. Press down through the foot in the back and the foot in the front. Strong roots here so that you can lighten your load up on top. Feeling the top of the body floating forward and up. One more breath. And come down. Hands come to hips, and left foot comes forward, right foot goes back. Parallel railroad tracks, back foot at 60 degrees, front knee is bent over the ankle. Hands open, opening through the chest, shoulder blades resting against the ribs in the back, squeezing together. A few good lung breaths in the front of the lungs. Then arms come forward, sweep up, press down through both feet. Let go up towards the sky. 2 more breaths here. Enjoying the flow. And coming back down. Bring hands to hips and bring feet together. Come down into a sitting position. Feet are straight out in front of you. Let's bring arms up to cactus. Enjoying again the openness in the front of the chest. Inhale up through crown. Exhale forward, strong through the abdominal muscles as you come over just a few inches and come back up. Inhale. Exhale over again, just a few inches. And back up. This time inhaling. Exhale. Let the chest and eyes come towards the toes. Hands come down wherever they will. Come forward with a straight back. And then if you'd like to bring some C curve, some curving to the spine. Letting everything go. Coming into that deep center of self. That self that is of the heart. A little bigger than our everyday self. That brings patience and tolerance. And inhale, back up. Bring the left foot up by the right thigh. You can stay on this side, or you can bring it over across the thigh. Extend out through the right heel. Right arm wraps around left leg, and the other arm comes around behind as a kickstand to give you support. Inhale up through crown. Exhale, turn through the waist. Inhale up. Exhale, turn through ribs. Inhale up. And exhale, turn through shoulders, bringing the gaze around finally. Release into this spiral spine shape. And unwind. As we do the other side, you might think about doing that breath of breathing up the back and down the front in this spiral shape. So bringing the right foot up and over, and the left arm wraps around right leg, other arm back behind for support. Extend out through the left heel. Inhale up, exhale waist, inhale up, exhale turn ribs, inhale up, and exhale, turn head and shoulders. Breathing up through the back and down through the front. Releasing wherever you can. Release and unwind. Let's come to a lying down position for a few minutes of Shavasana, complete relaxation pose before we end. Let everything sink down into the mat. Always coming back to the breath that softens and relaxes and allows all of us to let go. Relax down through cheeks and jaw, the front of the throat. Down through breastbone, ribs, the muscles deep within the abdomen, inner thighs, calves, the arches of the feet. Feel the tingling in the bottom of the feet, that aliveness that is always there, supporting us, asking us to let go and just live. Feel the tingling in the palms of the hands. Relax up through forearms, tops of the arms, shoulders, the back of the neck, and the back of the skull. Letting everything go into the earth for just a few moments. Now lengthen your breathing and bring some movement to fingers and toes. Perhaps turn wrists and ankles. Give your knees a hug. Offer compassion to yourself. All the tensions that we deal with in life. Extending compassion out to all those around us, near and far, who also struggle. And then rolling over, we'll come to a brief sitting position. Bring hands to heart center. May we be safe. May we be spacious. May we be free of clinging and obsessions. And may we treasure our life just as it is. Namaste. Thanks for practicing. Good to be with you. And along with me, good luck in letting go of your tensions and having a relaxed day.